Atlantic Ocean about this time yesterday.
I'd like to call this meeting of Land Use and Planning to order. This meeting was properly notified by the county clerk's office. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, first up, we have the minutes of September. Are there any changes or notes to be made? Seeing none, I will consider them accepted. Our first discussion item will be Fair Park Quarterly Report. Ms. Ludwig, are you doing that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. In your packet tonight, you do have an update on the Fair Park Modernization Project. So this is the first time that we are really showing the numbers to the committee and to the public at large that we have. So we just kind of wanted to share that with you. So if you've reviewed the report at all, you can see that the debt issuance and for projects out at Fair Park, kind of where we're at with the funding available compared to where we're at with what's been committed. And then I did break down the detail for you this time on the Will Surge contract. So you see the amount committed to Branch Pattern, that is design engineering, construction management contract. And then you see the amount committed to the Will Surge contract. So that's broken out below just to kind of give you an idea of the various project elements that we have tracking within that award. The facility is well on its way under construction. Most of the lighting, a lot of the outdoor lighting has been started and has been completed, but it continues. There's a large chunk of time in December, right after the first craft show, before the second kind of craft show, where they're going to knock out a substantial amount of the indoor work in the pavilion in the Ziegler Center. So we're kind of waiting. The project's expected to be completed by May 31st. There are a number of change orders that are coming up as we're going throughout the project. So we've been kind of monitoring that to see how much of the funding would be available for that. You can kind of note below that some of the things that we are tracking that we are looking at potentially. We also had an internal meeting yesterday. The facilities department is preparing. We are robustly going through all of the physical assets out there, and the things like the pond pumps and the furnaces in the Ziegler building, which are original to that facility. So some things that weren't necessarily included in the scope of this initially, but would be qualified under the debt expense, so that we can put forward some recommendations on the balance of this funding for maintenance that needs to occur at the facility and grounds, and have that kind of conversation with the county executive and the internal team before we kind of make a recommendation on some of this. There are some minor things that are just moving forward, with regards to change orders, but nothing major. So I'm happy to answer any questions about this report. Or if you'd like to see additional detail or have additional questions, we can bring that to you. Also, under the Fair Park Quarterly Report, there was an AIS board meeting this morning. There's some conversation about kind of the direction and the pricing, and there was also a fun fair ballot regarding next year's theme. So that is at your table. Please do that and drop it off before you leave, should you choose to do that. So I'll answer any questions you have about this report.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Jamie? Supervisor Mary?
Thank you, Chair. Are we on schedule?
Yes.
Thank you.
Supervisor Conrad?
Thank you, Chair. You spoke of some additional things, Ms. Ludovic, that would those potentially have budget implications, like regarding the Ziegler building, like you said, the pumps and things? Are those things that you would try and like put into this next budget, or how
So-
financially to handle those, or don't we really know yet?
So we borrowed money for a scope that included lighting, acoustics, and some renovation upgrades. The bids and the project management came back very favorable. So there's a balance of money that was borrowed for the stated purposes of Fair Park infrastructure. Separate this project, the facilities department maintains a capital improvement program that has a number of things in it, the 5-10 year plan, things like asphalt, HVAC units, roof membranes, things like that. And so we are currently reviewing that for eligible expenses that could be qualified for this funding, as well as we're actually digging deeper because there currently is not a 5-10, there currently is not, it's kind of done budget by budget. So we're going back to some of the assets that we know are nearing end of life at the Ziegler building, and we're going to dive in. The facilities team's going to dive back in to make sure that we're covering, or that we have numbers and eyes on everything that would be within the next, say, 5-year time frame, so that we aren't requesting that funding in future cycles. So there's also some shuffling. So we're working through what that recommendation could potentially look like as we keep going on the project and realize how the funding shakes out, if that makes sense. So you can see this report is showing there's $2.1 million available.
Yeah.
So it isn't that high. We are going to spend more. We added, we originally kind of were concerned about the cost of the pavilion floor. So that was not in that. That's probably a 6-figure project. So there's a number of things that could potentially change that, and we'll keep that conversation fluid as the project evolves. But as of right now, there's some initial conversation about making sure we have a full list of things that needs to get done.
Okay, thank you. So we're fine right now and very good.
Supervisor Pridemore.
Just one question, what is security bollards? What?
Well, they're bollards. They're, yeah,
Okay.
keep people from
I've never. heard of
driving
it.
their busload
Oh,
of
that-
bombs into a building. So
Sometimes they're stolen, sometimes they're
The-
steel posts.
Yes, and this list is evolving. So there were some card access camera questions that came up on the facility with the Ziegler door replacement. So that's something that's being looked into. The security bollards right now are actually planters, flower pots. If you go out there, it's likely that we might keep the flower pots. So I think, again, we haven't really had an in-depth conversation yet about the priorities of these things. Right now, we just more or less are kind of creating the list.
Supervisor Krebs.
Thank you. Up at the top under expenses, what is branch pattern and arbitrage?
Yes, so the arbitrage is a payment we had to pay back because our interest earnings on the debt were higher than you can't, under public financing laws, you can't make money on borrows. You can't borrow money at 3% and then earn 6% interest.
Who gets that money back then?
The
Or who do we pay it back?
financing people,
The lender?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a law, but you can't do that under public. That's a Margie question, but it is related to interest earnings being more than what the rate we borrowed at.
Okay. And then what was the branch pattern?
That is so they did the design engineering of the acoustics and our construction managing through the project for essentially all of the project, but they're an AV consultant that helped put together like the acoustic the acoustic models. And so they're a design engineering, full service construction management company.
Okay. And then the Horse Arena 24, is that just a separate smaller project that wasn't included in the prime contractors?
So that was funding in 24, the first time we tried to do the horse arena, where we did that, and it got charged to this account because it was an eligible expense at the time. So similar to, and that is one of the items we wanted to make sure we transparently put up here, that funding hit this account, this borrow of infrastructure at Fair Park at the end of 24.
So the work was already done and we just paid for it out of this account?
We had already borrowed the money, but yes, we ended up paying for it out of this account.
Okay. And then for the change orders where it says C notes, that's, I'm assuming down at the bottom, then the section where it's additions tracking.
Things, yeah, we don't have the costs back on those yet, so we haven't actually authorized any of them yet, but we intend to do so. So once we have a number on the change order, we just are preparing for the relocation of the Farm Bureau utilities. Whatever that amount is, we are showing. So there are some other things that we are getting numbers on the pavilion floor. We are getting numbers on pavilion entrance furniture. Some of that stuff was not in the original scope that we looked at.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Jamie, the horse arena 24, going back to that. So that was the original repair that we kind of had to go back in and do again this past summer, right?
Yes,
Okay, and then remind me, how did we pay for this year's?
strategic priority dollars.
That's right. Okay, I just wanted to be sure what pot that came out of. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Anything else from anybody else on this? All right, then we will move on. 2025 crop prices. I'll need a motion and a second. Motion by Supervisor Pridemore, seconded by Supervisor Krebs. You're presenting?
Yep, I can. I'm Mike Berg with USDA Wildlife Services. And the crop prices, you guys are free to move them if you want to. That's just a year-long average that's presented there. You can move them up or down or leave them as is, but it's totally up to you to discuss and decide how you want to handle it.
Supervisor Mary?
Are these the prices the FSA is paying on a local basis, on the county basis, or what?
This is what USDA Wildlife Services is paying for crop damage by wildlife species that are damaging row crops. So FSA might be paying different. Yep.
I guess I would defer to Mr. Dornoff if he has any questions on this.
That's basically what the prices are right now, even a little bit higher than they actually are. They keep
Yep.
Going down all the time.
They were high last fall, so
Yeah.
they're coming down a little bit now. That's why they might be a little bit high of
Take
current
advantage
price.
of that.
Yeah, yep.
But, corn is under $4. Soybeans are about, I think they're a little under 10. And wheat is, I think it was 460 or something like that.
Yeah, we use a year-long average just because sometimes they sit on it, store it for a while, and prices could go back up. And
Sure,
So you're saying, Ralph, it's all very fair.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, hearing none, then we'll seek your approval. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And it passes unanimously. Then we go into the Wildlife Damage Program Services. This also requires a motion and a second. Motion Supervisor Krebs, seconded by Supervisor Mary. Please proceed, sir.
no, I was just gonna explain the budget a little bit if you'd like. If you don't, that's fine too. This is the budget for next year for Wildlife Damage Abatement and Claims Program. USDA administers the program for the DNR. So this is all just pass-through money. The number we're approving is the $29,600.47. That includes $1,250 that goes to you guys, the county, for any paperwork that you might incur along the way. There's a federal cost share that USDA puts into it, $4,638.88. for a total budget of 34,239.35. Like I say, this is all pass-through money. It's paid for by $100 through the DNR, so.
Okay, any questions or comments from the committee? Go ahead, Mr. Dornacker.
That's the goal with, if you collect, you gotta open your land to hunting. right?
That's- Yep, that's correct. Yep. So there's part of the program that people can open their land for hunting or not open their land for hunting, for not public hunting. They can just receive permits, but they don't receive compensation. So we call that an Act 82 permit. Or if they want to receive compensation, they have to allow public hunting on their property.
Supervisor Mary.
Thank you, Chair. And these are all paid directly to the farm operators, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
really-
So right now we pass the crop prices and I'm still looking at crops and then whoever receives an assessment on their crops this fall, I'll be back in December and then I present all those to you guys and you approve those. So if someone gets a hunter access complaint or is belligerent or doesn't follow program rules, we could potentially deny claims for that sort of thing. That just helps hold them accountable for, allowing access and doing what they're
My
supposed
purpose
to.
in asking question, just to verify, this money really doesn't come through the county. It goes directly to the landowner.
Right, yeah. It does go through the county because you guys have to approve it, and once it's approved, then it goes from the DNR right to the landowner. Yep.
Right, so this is passed through. This is very similar to
Doesn't even come through
yeah.
us.
No,
a lot of our,
Yep.
We just have to approve the amounts.
correct.
right, we do the farm waste services and runoff and all those things that we do. So this is yet another one. Any other questions by the committee?
Deer donation processing, 0?
Yeah, so that we don't have any processors in Washington County that are processing deer for the deer donation program anymore. We still reach out every year and try to get somebody to jump back on board, but it hasn't happened at this point.
May I ask who you reach out to? Like maybe we have local
We have-
like, sportsman clubs.
Yeah, we have a list of processors that process wild game
Mhm.
in the county, and those are the ones we reach out for, for
Okay.
participation in deer donation program. Some still process venison, and deer, but they don't want to participate in the deer donation program. And there could be a variety of reasons for that. Some of the reimbursement from the DNR is maybe a little bit lower than what they expect or what they would like. But yeah, there aren't currently any that are accepting deer donation. People can bring their deer there and have it processed, but that's different than donating the venison and having the processor process it and getting it to a pantry.
I would say for the committee, there are less processors. A couple of big ones went out and are no longer processing, so I wouldn't expect that to change anytime soon unless,
But,
but,
some of the CWD regulations too on some of that stuff makes it a little bit more complicated and deters a few processors, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, what the barriers were or all the regulations that we don't have someone stepping up in our community.
Yeah. Yep,
Hmm. That's a little surprising to me.
yep.
Okay, thank you.
any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote on this. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our final item, pilot Roundup Program Committee report. This was for the Roundup for the next 18 that they performed out at the golf course this year. Jamie, I assume you're handling this?
Yep, thank you. I just want to first start by clarifying that when we do a pilot, because I know there might be future pilot coming your way, the idea is that we are trying something with the idea that there are potentially things that need to be worked out throughout the duration of that pilot. That then gives us the opportunity to collect data, to see how it goes, to come back with a more thorough kind of report of how it went, and then make a decision one way or another to either modify, end, stop, fail fast or continue or, make tweaks or kind of receive that feedback. So this is a really good example of that. And so what I want to just point out is a couple things. So we did pilot the rounding up at the checkout. We only raised $2,500, which was, I think, significantly lower than we were expecting. We did debrief internally about that as it relates specifically to the question number 2 in the survey results. If you read your packet, if you were asked to check out, which 65% of the survey respondents said no, and we had 208 responses to this survey. And so there's a variety of things that I think were at play there in our debrief, being one, people booking and paying online. So when they don't actually use the point of sale at the checkout. So I think the number of transactions was potentially fewer. I think that there was substantially, and this is anecdotal, but you can also see over half the people said they did not round up. More people saying no than potentially we expected. And then lastly, we do think that the comment from the staff was that there's a number of regulars. And so once you ask somebody if they would like to round up and they say no, right, the consistency to which you ask again the customers, the execution of the question is probably something that should we choose to continue this, we would probably want to have a conversation about both how we're capturing the online customers, but also how we're consistently executing this program. So the survey does tell us that we probably didn't train, reinforce, and continue this program throughout the season to the level to which management might expect if we were trying to deploy this consistently. So all of those things are at play. We did do this survey. We got a good response to the survey. It tells us, I think, that a number of our customers don't like it. It also tells us that a good amount of our customers think that they know people won't like it, but they still think it's good to support youth golf or to select a charity, and that most people, it doesn't really matter. So I think there's data here that supports the continuation. I think where we're at the staff level is that because it was not the question is really, for $2,500, is this something we potentially want to continue and put together a process or a program for continuing to select different organizations or causes? And I don't know that we are believing there's a compelling reason at this time, but also note that it is an option for the community. And so it's kind of a non-recommendation, and we're open to feedback or thoughts that the committee has on, what they see here, if anything, but are looking to probably just, at this point, I don't know that we're putting together a program to select another recipient next year, but also that the door could be open should there be something or a compelling reason that somebody would choose in the future to continue the program. So that's kind of, I think, the report, and we are looking for feedback or what the county thinks about this program and whether or not it's something that should be continued.
All right, Supervisor Pridemore.
Okay, I have a statement to make. First of all, people are tired of being asked to everybody's doing this. You go to Piggly Wiggly, you go to all these different events, or, if you round up. And a lot of people are getting a little tired of it, because everywhere they're going, it's the same thing. Also, this is not the only thing that's being affected. A lot of your brat fries and, from the Lions event are also financially not as much as coming in through a lot of their brat fries. The VFW, I can continue on with a lot of these. So many people are doing this also. And I don't know if it's just because the Brewers are going on and people are spending more money down by the Brewers, but I just think that maybe there's a different way we can go about this. I think this is a great event, but I don't know if I think other people outside of the golf community might still want to get involved with this. but don't know much about, the next gen. Is it, no, it's not, what's it called? Gen, 18,
Next 18.
next
Next
18.
18.
There's so many different, but anyway, so this is just my opinion and from other people too.
Thank you. Anybody else? Supervisor Mary.
Would share that sentiment. I don't think the county needs to be involved in this, that sort of activity. The roundup, like you say, you go to Sendix, anywhere else, round it up, round it up, round it up. But I don't believe this is a necessity for the county. I really
Right.
don't. I just don't think it fits with what the county is, mission, whatever you want to call it. It just doesn't seem right to me, but that's personal reflection.
Thank you. Supervisor Conrad, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, well, I was, guess maybe thinking a little bit different and in the quality world that I've lived, when you pilot something, it's kind of like the first step of a plan, do, study, act, right? It's the pilot, it's the initial trial, you take the lessons learned and, normally, unless it's a complete fail, you change things up a little bit, like you talked of maybe scripting or just adjusting things a little bit or looking at the online individuals. But you take those lessons learned from the first pilot, the first trial, and and do a second phase of it, of your quality project. But yeah, everybody is, rounding up, but I think that's nice. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a easy, simple way to, to give back. And if you have the opportunity, if you want to or not, but I think it's an excellent cause. So I'm kind of doing having a little bit different view. Like if you would, say continue this or do it different, you spoke of kind of maybe like scripting with the staff there, or like I said, focusing on like the online individuals a little bit more, or have you thought maybe some different strategies if you would kind of do like a second phase of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of those things that would be prudent if we were to continue to, I think our next step would likely be figuring out that, in addition to figuring out a process for how we select the organizations and what types of organizations get selected for the season, in a kind of a more fair way, so that there's options for various organizations that have asked about it. So we have had several inquiries out there about, how do we become that organization? So that's an ongoing challenge, or that's another challenge that would be out there. And that was kind of the target of question 5 in the survey of, if the program does occur, what are the types of things you might be looking to do? But yes, all of that. I mean, I think that is the point at some point, and it could, at any time, if we choose to move forward with kind of a second round of a pilot, I think that those would all be great suggestions.
Yeah, it seems like this, strong theme about youth, supporting the growth of the game. Maybe we do a second trial, with that type of focus. I would be supportive of at least, trying it one more time. I don't think it was, complete fail. It was a pilot. It was how you start.
Very good. Supervisor Krebs, care to weigh in?
Sure. I'm neutral on it. I'm bombarded and hit with Roundup, and would you like to tip options on checkouts everywhere? And so I think the general society is just immune to some of the stuff. Quite frankly, I would be more annoyed with a script, because that's like even more putting it in the customer's face. And I would personally be less likely to donate them. Because it's just everywhere you turn, someone wants extra money for something. But I'm not against it, and because there's people that are gonna donate and to stuff like this, and people are going to do that, are always going to do it. The people that aren't going to do it, they're never going to do it. So I don't think it was a failure either. $2,500 is $2,500. Like, it's definitely something. So I'd be fine with it, but I would personally prefer if it's not so pushed, like at every transaction, every sale, like make it something simple on a screen that you can either just say yes or no and move on from it versus having to make the awkward conversation and people making decisions, to get to what they want to do or are there for, which is the golf or, the service, whatever it is. So I'm not against it, but not a cheerleader of it either.
Very good. Anybody else? Mr. Dornacher.
Just, from past experiences with the Lions and stuff, if you got a purpose for it and you got a tip jar there, it's surprising what people will put in there if they know where it's going. And, they're free.
Without asking, just the
Without
jar
asking,
there,
just putting it in there.
biggest
I
tips
think
there.
it's, you don't have the pressure of asking, well, I know you go a lot of places, do you want to round up, but here you just got a tip jar, and a lot of people just whatever change they got, they throw in there.
Yeah.
Thank you for that feedback. That's excellent because you do ask, did people know what Next 18 is compared to if it was Hartford Boys Golf or something very simple that they would say they might respond differently.
Yeah, Supervisor Mary?
I thought it was interesting in one comment the gentleman had about the beer cart girl coming too close when he was putting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, was that you? Yes. There were a number of comments in there that we did go through and take that feedback. So, when you do a survey of any sort and people just see it as an opportunity to tell us something they want us to know, about aeration or prices. So we did actually go through the comments and share them all with the staff that were not related to the roundup. But there were some good ones in there.
It was entertaining anyways. Yeah.
Supervisor Krebs?
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's that same respondent also refers to how people need to read the rules of golf.
Yes.
Like, that sounds like a person that is probably fun to golf with.
Place your divot.
But
Mhm.
to add on to, Ralph's comment though, like, other,
Country club.
like at the county fair, I did volunteering for bartending this year, and second, people know what the fundraiser is for. The giving, that's when the giving opens up and they're willing to just donate to the cause right away. So having a clear message with that definitely does help, where they know that it's going somewhere versus to this, like
The building project.
yeah. Put a name or a face on something definitely helps.
Yeah, I would I guess just like to note that, you look at the survey, in all my years in customer service, people tend to focus on the negative. And part of this is we look at this survey results and the very strong negative positions that some of these people have tend to kind of take over the weight of this. But you need to also really then look at the whole numbers and understand that actually, no, more people supported this than actually were negative against it. So considering that fact, I do believe that maybe Next 18 is just not well known enough to people. That I was at Piggly Wiggly and they asked me if I want to round up there every time I go there, and that's fine. Most times I don't, but one time they were like, "Well, we're rounding up for Carl's place." I'm like, "I love Carl's place. That's a great, yeah, okay, I'll round up." Because I knew the charity, I understood it. I mean, we work with the county, so it's like, yes, that's a great one for me. And that might be the case if we decide to move this going forward, where you say, yeah, Hartford High School's youth boys golf or girls golf or whoever, something that's probably a little bit more easily and understandable and relatable might actually do better. And I'm not sure how a tip jar would necessarily work because those are kind of fraught with a little bit of problem because you're talking cash on hand and whatnot. But I mean, certainly something that they can look at out there, I guess. But the whole idea is that it is a pilot program. It was something that we just tried to take a look at it and see how it went. And I think overall, a little bit mixed, but somewhat positive.
But we learned.
Um, yeah, we learned, I think we definitely learned from it. And I think for now, kind of lay it out there and leave it up to staff to see where they wish to proceed with it. You know, if it's something we want to try and maybe pursue in the future. I mean, we don't need to have anything right now, and I don't want to necessarily kill it, but I don't want to necessarily go after, you know, doing something else right away, but maybe kind of take what we've learned back to the drawing board and look at it and maybe consider what we might want to do next year. So, did you want to speak, Mr. Chairman? Go ahead.
I agree with all of these comments, you know, the rounding up probably has gone too far. But generally, when I'm asked to round up, if I don't feel like it, I say no, and it's no big deal. But the next 18, it's complicated because if you know anybody that's been involved with Next 18, it's an awesome program. And it's a mental health thing that we really need a lot of help with that nowadays. So from that end, I support it, but all the comments were good. And if we don't have all the information for Next 18 out there, it's hard. So.
Just thinking about this, was this ever talked about like on WTKM? They always have like a special in the morning, and this would be great to explain what next, this 18 is all about. I think we get more people involved.
Yeah, and I will just, guess, kind of closing remarks on this conversation. This is all very good feedback. I'll probably go back and listen to it because I think it is excellent as we think about how we want to move forward. At this point, this season, we are going into construction. Bids come back October 21st, and we're looking at planning a large event in early June to open the new expansion at the golf course. And so we might refocus some of our off-season energy into some of those initiatives rather than building out kind of the process or the program tweaks. But this is a conversation that I think we can continue to have, particularly as we are out there more and we think about this. So encourage everybody to keep thinking about it and share any feedback. And we'll do the same and appreciate those comments. I think they were very, very good.
Any other comments on this particular item? All right, thank you very much, Jamie, for that. With that, that brings us to the end of our meeting. The next meeting date is November 20th, 2025, 4:30, right here. Looking forward to seeing you then. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.